Welcome back to this month's December 2025 housing update. And wow, we have a lot to talk about. My co-host today is
Randy Williams with T.B.F. Mortgage.
And Randy, we're going to start this right off with what Bankrate is saying.
On average, renting a home is cheaper than paying a mortgage in all 50 of the largest U.S. metros in 2025, with the cost difference between two growing in 38 metros since last year.
So we're going to talk a little bit about renting today. So if you're a second home, owner, this may or may not apply to you. But I think it's worth your watch from what's happening in the world. Because once we get to affordability, this is what this is all about, and a first-time home buyer really is looking for affordability, everything kind of releases in the market. So talk about this slide a little bit, Randy.
Yeah, I mean, the annual cost of renting means rent paid in that year. The annual cost of owning means property taxes, maintenance, repairs, homeowners insurance, principal and interest payments.
Right.
Right.
So there's more stuff.
Yeah, I mean, your rent is paying all of that for somebody else.
Which is point. So
right.
I'm renting and paying somebody else's mortgage and extras. So what's Mark Fleming saying?
The affordability gains are broad, with the 35 of the top 50 markets posting annual improvement and 48 of the 50 improving over the previous month. That momentum matters because it helps some potential buyers realize one of the most powerful and enduring benefits of homeownership. Once you own, equity gains can offset a large share of your ongoing housing costs over time. In other words, short-term challenge of scraping together a down payment coexists with the long-run financial benefits that make homeownership so appealing for everyone.
You know, it's funny. I was born in 1962.
Okay.
You can do the math on how old I am. And I looked at the cost of a median cost of a home in 1962. You know what it was?
$115,000.
Yeah. 19,300.
Okay.
19,300. And I feel like next month and with our social, so watch for it, we're going to have that was then, this is now kind of revelation. And that's what this makes me think about, because over time, everything increases.
My parents bought their first house with a 17% interest rate. I mean, think about that for a second. Times have changed.
Times have changed.
Yeah.
So what is Mark Fleming continuing to say?
Sure. To calculate the annual cost of homeownership, we assume a 30-year fixed rate mortgage with a 5% down payment on a median priced home. When they adjust for equity accumulation, if house prices decline, the equity reduction is added to the annual cost of owning. On the other hand, if prices rise, the equity gain reduces the annual cost of owning. When the annual gain exceeds that ownership cost, the home effectively pays you to live there. Think about somebody who's owned their home for a very long time. Again, I keep going back to my parents.
Yeah.
Or
me.
I'm not going to say how much their home is worth, and I know where you live too. The mortgage payment is laughable, like what they're paying because they got in when they got in,
right,
and got all that equity.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of people will pay those off, right? And then that's just equity in your pocket. But I think one of the things that was interesting here, Randy, that I want to point out is 5% down payment. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, I mean, I'm a mortgage broker, so I have 75 banks that I use. I mean, you could some 1% down programs, 3.5% down programs, 5% down programs. People do for some reason still think you have to have that 20% down. I mean, now that is a great loan. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't get any better than that, but that's not what most people do when they're buying their first home.
That's right.
It's not reality.
Right. Right. Exactly. So if you're thinking about that and trying to do the math, like, oh my gosh, what is the average? We're going to tell you what the average closed price was in our area. Perfect. Think about 19,362 across the nation. But homeownership remains a wealth building engine. And Randy, that's just what you were talking about. So this slide starts in 2006 and goes all the way up to 2022. If you had bought in those years, look at that. If you had bought starting in 2015, because in 2006 we saw a great recession, but in 2015 we saw some amazing increases. And the cost of ownership came off that, right? But look at what it would cost out of my pocket, what I've lost to rent.
It's a $400,000 gap, right?
Yeah.
Like you're either losing, I mean, I don't want to say losing, but $170,000 with nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
Or paying maybe a little bit more for your home, but now you have $226,000 worth of equity. It's a no-brainer.
It is a no-brainer.
You have to have vision. You have to understand it's a long game.
And a lot of our clients here that are coming from another market get that. Sure. I mean, they've already been homeowners somewhere else. They understand that. They've gone through some great things. But, the reality is it's okay to buy a second home. It's okay to buy that investment property because there's a lot of things that are changing that are to your benefit on that. So let's go on to see what Mark Fleming continues to say.
Across all 4 intervals, homeowners who stayed long enough saw equity gains exceed cumulative ownership cost. Put differently, time in the home allowed equity accumulation to offset other costs of ownership, what we just talked about.
Totally.
Yep.
Totally. I bought my house in 2003. Let me think about that. Yeah, my youngest was born in 2002, and I bought it in 2003, and I don't move. Tons and tons of equity. Of course, I saw some ups and some downs and all the way around, but, isn't that great? What a form of wealth that I wouldn't have had some other way. Daryl Fairweather from Redfin is saying what?
Nationally, now is a good time to buy if you can afford it. Prices keep climbing, but with lower mortgage rates and more inventory, buyers have the upper hand in negotiations. An uneasy economy and political tensions are making everyone uneasy, though a local housing markets vary widely. Buyers serious about making offers should consult a local agent and be confident in their finances in the future. I see this every day.
Yeah.
It's completely turned. For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's a buyer's market for sure.
Yeah.
And Zillow, our friends at Zillow.
Yeah, affordability for homes reached a 3-year high. I see that too.
Right.
That's reality for sure.
And it depends on what you're buying, but some owners are very motivated. And as we go into season, you can still have your Christmas present because you can still buy in the next 2 weeks and get a good deal because as more inventory comes on in January, which it always does, the people that have been on for a while may be more interested in giving a deal before that inventory comes on.
Yeah, and I'm as busy as I've been all year in the last 2 weeks. And what you exactly just said is people are throwing out these offers. Sellers aren't going crazy or anything, but they all come to an agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is kind of an interesting slide, Randy, because renters, and I'd say across, not just renters, but people have plans to become a homeowner, whether that's moving, whether that's getting their first one. And check that out. What is that math? I always screw up the math. It's 0.7, and is it 50.7? Is that the number?
Well, we're looking at 57, 58% are saying yes in the next 2 years, okay, or 2 years plus. And then you've got that 40% that's just no, not sure.
Yeah. Normal.
Yeah, we can use
normal.
that word.
Nothing weird there.
That is just our country in general. It just is.
Yeah. And Mark Fleming goes on to say,
affordability should continue to improve, allowing more households to unlock the home ownership door and start the equity building journey that turns a house into a wealth generating asset.
Yeah, absolutely. Or let's flip this another way. How many people do you use that you work with that have used that house as a way to pull equity out and buy something else?
I do it every month.
Yeah.
Just because of where we live. I mean, it just happens to be what our market is. Of course, people bought here 7, 8, 9 years ago. Their house has accumulated so much equity. They travel down here. They visit down here. Right. They go to new places. All of a sudden, they want to live in a different place. They use their investments from a few years back to achieve that with literally no cash out of their pocket.
Yeah, which is phenomenal.
And half the times I'm even lowering their rates on the ones that they're in too. So there's always opportunity for people that get in the game at some point.
I love that.
Maybe it's 2 years, 4 years, some 7, but once you've done that, the market will shift in your favor at some point.
Love that. Yeah, you heard it here.
Yeah.
So Bankrate goes on to say,
no matter which way the real estate market is leaning, though buying now means you can still start building equity immediately, it also means avoiding the potential for mortgage rate fluctuations later. I mean, that's what happens when you lock into a rate. People get so fixated on their rate. You just once you get in, at some point, traditionally the market is going to get in your favor and we'll refinance you at that point. But you do want to lock in and protect yourself against something much, much worse down the road.
Love that. Love that. So opportunity home buyers have right now. So what is Joel Berner saying from Realtor.com?
The last November, there was this much inventory on the market was 2019.
Normal
COVID.
Market.
Yeah. This growing inventory puts downward pressure on listing prices, which have been basically stagnant for the past 3 years. The upward pressure on time on the market, which has returned to near pre-pandemic levels.
Yeah.
We're finally getting normal again. Let's be honest.
Normal's not bad.
No, it's great.
Normal is not bad.
Stable.
Stable is normal. And Realtor.com goes on.
Homebuyers found more options as the number of actively listed homes rose 15.3% compared to the same time last year.
Yeah. Well, most of the U.S. came out of a summer selling season. And if they didn't sell, they were probably too high in price. And so they've left it on the market. That's kind of what happens up north. Snow states. It's kind of cold and snowy right now. As we,
I talk to I send pictures of me and my shorts every day to a couple of my favorite clients up there.
You're so mean. You're so mean. So median days on market, look at this. Back in 19, it was 64, and in 25, it was 63. Now, this is nationwide numbers. Okay. I'm going to show you median days in our market. But, you know, Randy, we had houses that were flipping in 1-2 days. People didn't have any time to make decisions. They were doing some silly things. They got in, they had buyer's remorse. You know, the numbers we were talking about earlier on was 70% didn't like where they were. It was earlier in the year. It's kind of crazy. So home days on market kind of doesn't give you a lot of effort, a lot of time if they're low to really make good decisions. Where they're normal, like they are now, you have more time.
I feel like our consumers have such a short-term memory that when they remember like really low interest rates or they remember houses selling right away, that's all they remember. But you take a wider angle at it, and I think they have finally just adjusted to what the market is. And like I said before, like I am seeing stabilization. Like that is like the word of the day for me.
I love that. Word of the day. This is percent.
I can't spell it.
ST. This is a percent, the share, the slide, sorry, is the share price cuts is back to normal levels. So, you know, when you start too high, you got to get it in line. And how many price cuts you have is depending on how high you started. But check this out. In 18 and 19, 21.7%. We're at 20.2. So again, across the nation per Realtor.com. So Bankrate goes on to say,
during the quieter fall and winter months when fewer prospective buyers are shopping, home sellers may be more willing to lower their prices or offer concessions to attract those prospective buyers who are still looking. And we're the exact opposite here.
Exact opposite.
Yeah.
But we've just come out of a fall hurricane season. Very quiet, very normal. Look at this. They've picked up in buying. I'm going to show you the number of units that sold. Okay, so let's talk about builders and what's happening with them.
41% of builders reported cutting prices in November, a record high in the post-COVID period. For the first time, this measure has passed 40%. Meanwhile, the average price reduction was 6%. In November, the same rate as the previous month. The use of sales incentives was 65% in November, tying the share in September and October.
You know, Lennar, big production builder down here, has put in, and I don't want to quote it wrong, but it was a significant number of off the list price for concessions. And that's if you're looking to build new or buy new construction, you got to look into that.
I know a few folks over there. I play golf with a few of them. Their margins allow for it. They just do. So, you know, I agree. I mean, they're building like crazy down here, and the incentives are very good right now.
Yeah. So something to think about.
Yeah.
NerdWallet, what are those guys saying?
A good buyer's agent can act as your guide on home buying journey. They'll show you properties that fit your criteria, help you craft a competitive offer, negotiate on your behalf, and generally provide you with the knowledge and support throughout the home buying process.
Yeah. I mean, there's a value for a great buyer's agent that understands the area, is that expert, local expert. You know, that's what it's all about. Make sure you interview a buyer's agent just like you would do a listing agent.
Yeah, and your reputation matters.
Right.
Your sales record matters.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So make sure you pick someone like the Bartos Group that can help you through those. So closed price median, this is month over month for the month of November. And the one that stands out because it's the highest median price is Marco Island. And it came down significantly, which is interesting because 23 and 24 were pretty much the same. Everything else is pretty even. I mean, you know, okay. Fort Myers came down. in November over November, and some of those in 23 we were still kind of recovering from some things, but people were getting good deals. But if you look at like Estero or Naples, those are pretty flat. Now let's talk about that for a minute. Look at number of sales. I just told you about Marco Island. The average came down, or the median came down, but look at the sales. There are a lot more sales, and that median price at $980 on Marco Island doesn't represent a bunch of houses. That represents a bunch of condos with maybe a few houses in there, because you can't really get a house on Marco Island for under $800,000. So that just tells me a lot of condos sold in the month of November, because we have 46 sales on Marco Island versus 25 the year before. We're about an average with the number. It's just what type of property are they buying?
I think that's right. I mean, you know as well as I do that the single family homes have not reduced anywhere near that.
No, not at all.
Won't.
No. And you look at the rest of them, I mean, okay, Estero is kind of between 23 and 24. I would say most of them are kind of between 23 and 24, other than Fort Myers. Last year, they sold less. But this year, they're about the same as they were in 23. So, those numbers, it really is kind of, okay, it is a benchmark. It's a number to look at. But it really, you have to dig deeper, like how many of those were condos? Where were they sitting? Did we, Marco's a really finite area,
Small.
4 by 6 mile island. But we do have a diverse range of prices.
Yeah.
And same goes with, Naples, the closer I get to the water and versus out, very different prices.
Yeah,
in
when
units.
you're talking median, I mean, you got Estero and Naples and stuff like that. There's just a larger buyer pool for that price point. There just is.
Yeah.
So it's going to remain a little bit more stable.
Yeah. So then we go on and we look at days on market. We just talked about that. Marco Island is up 114 days on market. Naples is around the national number. That was like 63 days on market. It's 67. Fort Myers is down. This was in November. And Estero's up. So it kind of gives you a nice flavor of where they are. But each one, other than Estero, quite honestly, has gone up. I don't know what those guys in Estero are doing.
I mean, I know recent years have been less than this or whatever, but I'm old enough to remember when this would be really good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I am that old. When I remember going, you're selling a house in 2 months, 2.5 months, perfect.
Right. If it's priced well and there's marketing on it, let me tell you that. Because it's not going to go in 2 months if you're way above price.
Yeah.
So you need to, as an owner, listen to that agent or pick an agent who can help guide you through that. Okay, showings per listing. I love putting this in because, I do personally work with a lot of listings, a lot of owners, and they're kind of shocked and appalled that less than 3 showings a month is average. That's crazy. So, Marco and Naples are 2.8. Fort Myers and Estero or Fort Myers is 3. Estero is 2.9. So if you're getting more than, let's say, Fort Myers, 3 showings in a month for your property, you're above average. It's good to know. It's good to know what those numbers are.
Yeah.
Randy, we talked a lot about that first-time home buyer. First-time home buyers are moving from a rental into something else. We talked about bringing our snowbirds down. They may keep their house, they may sell it, and then come down, depends on what they do, downsize one area, do all that. All that says, is it time to move?
I mean, that's such an individual question. If there's a little anxiety or stress around it, that's normal, right? Like talk to a professional, get really good advice, take all the information you possibly can.
Right.
Again, I say it every single time I'm here, but over the long haul, there's no better investment than real estate in the United States. It's the safest. It's the most stable. It's tangible. Somebody is always going to need a roof over their head. This is one of those investments that over time always pays off, has always paid off in this country.
It's not going to go away.
Right.
It's
a need. It's a basic human need.
Yes, we have to have a roof over our head.
Somebody's third and fourth vacation home may not be a basic human need, But it certainly is nice, isn't it?
It certainly is nice.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to our next episode being about a year in review. Until next time, I'm Mary Bartos with the Bartos Group.
And Randy Williams with T.B.F. Mortgage.
And we look forward to helping you, advising you on what's best for your situation and what you want to do long term. Until then,